Okay, so let's get right into it. What if I told you that one of the most lethal scorers in professional basketball today is a name that most NBA fans have probably never even heard of? This is a story about taking a different path, about building a different kind of kingdom, and really about a completely different definition of what it means to make it. This is the story of Mike James. Take a good look at this number, 4,464. Now that record doesn't belong to LeBron or Durant or any of the NBA legends you're probably thinking of. But in the world of global basketball, this is the absolute summit. That's the number that made Mike James the all-time leading scorer in the history of the EuroLeague. We're talking the best and toughest basketball league on the planet outside of the NBA. And the moment he actually did it, man, it was just electric. This one moment, right here, it was the culmination of a journey that was, well, anything but ordinary. And to really understand how he got to the top of that mountain, we have to go all the way back to the very bottom, to a time when pretty much nobody was watching. All right, so let's hit rewind. We're going from that absolute peak all the way back to a time when Mike James wasn't a king. He was more like a basketball nomad, just grinding, looking for a chance, starting out in some of the most unlikely places you could ever imagine. The contrast is it's wild. He wasn't some high draft pick. He wasn't some hyped up prospect. His professional career began with a team in Croatia, where he played 9 games, and then poof, he was just gone. No fanfare, no headlines, nothing. After Croatia, there was a stop in Israel, then Italy's second division, then Greece. This isn't the path of the future legend, right? This is the grind. This is a journey through basketball's backroads, far away from the spotlight, just trying to stick somewhere, anywhere. But then, in that Italian second league, something finally started to click. Playing for this team called Fulgaro Mania, he found his rhythm and just absolutely erupted. He wasn't just playing anymore, he was dominating. And this was really the first sign of that elite scorer who was hiding in plain sight. So with his stock finally rising in Europe, the NBA came calling. And of course, that's the dream for any American player. But as Mike James was about to find out, sometimes the dream isn't about talent, it's all about fit. And for a player like him, the fit, well, it was never quite right. He had 2 real shots. First with the Suns, where he actually made history by turning a 2-way contact into a standard NBA deal, only to get waived just 15 days later. Insane, right? Then, with the Nets, he comes in with a recommendation from Kevin Durant himself, but the team still saw him playing this very specific, very limited role. Now listen closely to how his coach in Brooklyn, Steve Nash, described him. There's one key word that comes up again and again. They saw the talent for sure, but they only really wanted one thing from it. And there it is again, pace. Not scoring, not playmaking, just speed. And a third time, pace. You see the pattern? The NBA didn't want the Mike James who could take over a game. They wanted a role player, a guy to just push the tempo. They basically wanted to put a king in a box. And who better to sum it all up than the man himself? He understood the deal. The NBA system, it values certain archetypes, right? And a score-first guard who needs the ball in his hands to be at his absolute best, well, that just wasn't what they were looking for. So what do you do when the league you dreamed of doesn't want you for who you really are? You go back to the place that does. And Mike James returned to Europe, not with his head down, but with a massive chip on his shoulder, ready to prove just how wrong everybody was. And prove it he did. Man, the accolades just started piling up immediately. Greek League champion, the EuroLeague scoring champion, Italian Super Cup champ, Russian League champ. He wasn't just winning, he was collecting hardware everywhere he went, leaving absolutely no doubt who the best guard in Europe really was. And with that kind of dominance came the reward. He signed a massive 3-year deal with CSKA Moscow, making him one of the highest paid players on the entire continent. He wasn't just a star anymore, he was now officially European basketball royalty. But the journey still wasn't over. After being the hired gun for all these powerhouse clubs, he finally found something different. He found a home. And in Monaco, he didn't just join a team, he helped build one from the ground up. In Monaco, they finally just handed him the keys to the kingdom. He became the undisputed heart and soul of the team, their leader with the ball in his hands at the end of the game, and he guided them to their first ever Final Four, putting the entire franchise on the map. And it was there, in Monaco, that he came full circle. On March 7, 2024, he scored his 4,464th point, breaking that all-time scoring record and cementing his place in basketball history forever. But he wasn't even done. The very same season he broke the scoring record, he put together maybe his most complete year ever, almost 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. He had evolved beyond just being a scorer. He was now doing everything for his team. After all the snubs, after all the doubts, after that long, winding road, the ultimate validation finally came. Look, scoring titles are one thing. Championships are great. But being named the most valuable player of the entire EuroLeague, that was his coronation. This single quote, right here, it just captures the essence of his entire career. Success isn't one size fits all. His journey proves that there are different mountains to climb, and conquering one is every bit as valid as conquering another. So it leaves us with this question. What does it truly mean to make it in the world of basketball? Is it just about fitting into one specific league system? Or is it about finding the place where you can be the absolute best version of yourself, build a legacy, and become a king in your own right? The story of Mike James, well, it suggests the answer is pretty clear.